Welcome. Let's get
Take one.
started in a moment.
Take one.
Okay, we can start. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Frictionless Data Virtual Hangout. We've been running this for about 3 months now, and so excited to see everyone here. I just shared a link to a Google Doc in the chat, so if you can access it, that would be great. I'll share it again for people that are just joining. I'll also share my screen.
Yeah. Well, I don't want you doing stuff on me. I don't care about this now. Where are you going?
Let me know if you can access the Google. Okay, yeah, you can. Great.
Yes, here. You can craft these bits, but not this bit.
By the way, if you are not aware, we're on Twitter at Frictionless Data. So if you're on Twitter, you can also follow our accounts on there. And also I'll leave a link to the Discord channel if you're on Discord as well.
Do you want to record, by the way?
Yeah, I'm recording.
Okay, great. Sorry, I missed that. Great. Amazing.
Thank you. Put that ball over me. Come here, child.
Should we very quickly go around and do introductions, Gift, just while we're like, as people just really quickly, we give people like 20 seconds, just like your name, what you're up to, and maybe where you're located. That would be fascinating. What do you reckon?
Yeah, sure, that would be great. I can open the floor. Hi, everyone. My name is Gift Egwenu, and I'm a developer at Utopian. I also work on the Frictionless Data project. I am based in Lagos, Nigeria. Nice to meet you all.
Hi, I'm Herb Langebury. I'm calling from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. And I'm involved in the open definition and the various other things, Open Data Canada, etc.
Wow, welcome, Herb. Many years since we've run into each other, of course. Welcome.
Hi, nice to see you.
I can go next. I'm Lily, and I work on the Frictionless Data project with Open Knowledge Foundation, and I am in Austin. And I think, Sebastian, maybe you were about to go and I cut you off. Do you want to go next?
No, no worries. I was about to introduce myself too. I also work on frictionless data with Gift, and I'm currently doing some mapping with the CCAN and frictionless stuff. So I'm working on this GitHub repo and doing basically the technical stuff and doing tests. And I'm currently based in Mexico City. And yes, that's about me. I'm doing this right now at DataHub.
Hi everybody, I'm Marco Alba from Italy. I'm involved in internet physics. I'm working with the frictionless data with the Swiss Polar Institute to ingest their data set in internet physics. So it's quite new for me, this approach. I'm working very hard on it.
Hi, I'm Turbine. I'm with Civet together with Oleg, who probably will also say a bit afterwards. And I'm based in Zurich at the moment, working on basically or trying to introduce frictionless data in urban planning processes.
Yeah, hi guys. Can you hear me a bit? Sorry,
Yes.
I do have a very solid background, but somehow Zoom is not liking me today. Yeah, I'm Oleg, based in Bern. Very quickly, I do work with Turbine on the Civet project, and we're looking forward to tell you all about it. Also, I've been working on frictionless data as one of the library developers. I worked on the Julia library, and I've been using it in various projects, primarily with the association Open Data CH, which is the Swiss chapter of Open Knowledge. And I'm Canadian. So go Canada. Who's next?
Has everyone given an introduction?
I'm not sure Philippe has. Philippe Rock, he's just dropped possibly.
Hello,
He's
I'm
back.
here.
Oh, you're great. Philippe, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. So I'm Philippe. I'm based in Oxford, and I've been looking at using Frictionless to somehow serve bioinformatics data, mostly gene expression data, metabolomic tables, table of results. I'm been working with Lily as well. So hi, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay. Anything? I mean, I think one thing might be.
Be careful.
Yeah. Anyone else want to introduce themselves? Gift. Then we.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm located in Seattle, and I'm working on wrapping up really a library implementation for Swift for the data package and tabular data package work. I thought I'd make an appearance.
Nice to see.
It is nice to see you, Chris. Thanks for all of your work. It's nice to see you this way.
So one of the things I thought might do at the beginning of the call, I just suddenly thought now, would just be to brainstorm briefly with people. And I maybe not do it out loud, but maybe just at the beginning of the agenda, like any questions for discussion later. So if people, either you can write it in the Zoom chat, discussion questions or topics, and then we'll add it to the doc. But just here at the beginning of the meeting, just to take maybe just like 2 or 3 minutes where people could just like brainstorm. I put it below the agenda where people could just add questions or topics they want to have brought up today, and then we can kind of organize them, but it kind of note and vote, not out loud. You can write it in the doc or write it in the Zoom chat, and then we can kind of organize that. So we'll just give everyone 2 minutes. Might be a question you've wanted to ask. It might be something you're working on, you want to talk about, whatever. You just put it down there under discussion questions or topics or in the Zoom. Okay. I don't know whether we've any things, so updates. Great. Anyone else? Just, okay, you got no questions. People will just ask. stuff as we go along. Great, but I want to give people a chance to brainstorm at the beginning. So what do we got next, Gift?
Updates, chat, the forum stuff. Yeah. You there first?
Do you want me to do the updating?
Yeah, about the forum. Yeah.
Because so can I share the screen sharing is disabled. You might need to turn it on so that other people can share.
Let me see. Okay. Yeah, you can try.
Okay, awesome, great. Let's just do that. So while we're here, so basically one of the things to mention is that we've tried, the forum. There's this item, and it's particularly the forum. So basically, the forum has become a bit of a central place for you to ask questions, to suggest ideas. Anyone, if you're not aware, you can come there and say stuff. But we're trying to one of the things we're trying to do in Frictionless Data is make things simpler, make their kind of by default one way to do things, and kind of this is becoming, along with maybe Discord, the default place to come to if you want to ask stuff and so on, for the project. But it's a little bit there's a mixture. So one of the things we did was organize stuff. There are kind of questions which now get the label question, for example here. And then more importantly, the questions we try and just answer, whether it's myself or someone else in the community or Evgeny or Lily or Gift or whoever, we answer the questions. But the other thing is that comes in that's very interesting is we get suggestions for ideas, for things to improve. So we've tried to, we've done is gone through all of the stuff in the tracker, all of the 38 issues at the moment, and organized them at the moment, kind of classified them a bit. So basically there's stuff that we'll maybe someday do if we ever had time, but by the way, anyone can jump in from the community and do these items, but our kind of prioritization or my sense of it. And then good idea when we have time, which is the kind of next level. And then once we've got in progress, we've got what we've done and we've got what we've got prioritized. So one of the things we've done is organize the forum. I think this is a won't fix. So there's some won't fix. So we've started an awesome frictionless section. So by the way, I don't think we put it on the main site yet, but we should actually add that to the updates gift. We have an awesome repo. If people don't know what that is, it's like a curated list of stuff that's cool related to frictionless. I think it will be we need to embed it on the site, but to start with, it will be on GitHub. Please go star it. Gift can paste the link. And then we've got a bunch of stuff in progress. One of the things we'll talk about in a bit, we're working on a table schema catalog, which we talked about last time, and so on. There's a bunch of items that are going on, and there's things that we've kind of prioritized that we'd like to do next. And obviously help is wanted on pretty much everything. But there's some things I maybe could add it here, like this item is probably a good first issue. And I don't know, by the way, people, we're pretty liberal. If you want to come and help curate this, we'll happily give you the permissions that you would need. I actually think this is a good first issue as well. Oh, it's already got good first issue. Sorry, I missed that. So you've got things also with good first issue, if you want to see those, which are really good things for you to help with. Actually, the docs is a good one as well. So if people are looking for something they might just want to spend an hour on or half an hour on or just check out, you can come to the forum, come to this board, look for the kind of good first issue, and off you go. And, you can ask on Discord or ask in the issue if you're unclear what to do. So yeah, long and the short is we now have a triage board. We have, we're clear what we're working on at the moment. And this is our kind of backlog of stuff here. There is a bit of a backlog also in the project board. I think we're going to try and converge on this forum, at least for the high level, kind of planning. And then the project board will be more like day-to-day sprint planning when we have it. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Back to you, Gift. Any questions, actually? Anyone questions, comments on that one? It's pretty clear, but great. I didn't introduce myself, did I? I'm Rufus. I'm the one of the founders. I'm founder of Open Knowledge and founder of Frictionless Project. So yeah, really good to see everyone here today. Sorry about that. I'm in France. Cool. What's next?
Yeah, I'll share my screen, or I'll just go ahead and say here. If Sebastian is still on the call, it is the frictionless data mapping stuff.
Yes, I'm here. Oh, okay, sorry.
I just want this. Actually, sorry about that. We have another issue on the forum, which is basically us trying to improve the frictionless spec docs, and it's linked in the doc as well. And also, Rufus already mentioned the awesome frictionless repo. So that is open for anybody to contribute to. Yeah. Sebastian, you can go on.
Okay, thank you. So if you would like me to, I'm going to share my screen and show you the current progress that we have. So basically, we have this spreadsheet that we've already presented on Discord before. This contains like the mapping that we are doing for CCAN and Frictionless. We are currently mapping different formats. We are already done with CCAN to Frictionless. We are tracking everything on GitHub. We have this one for is an issue. We've mapped pretty much a bunch of tests. So we are doing this thoroughly. And then we are basically done right now with the opposite, Frictionless to CCAN. And if you're interested in more technical aspect, we also have this coding here. So we are testing everything. Everything is currently passing. For example, here we have tests for, we test packages, resources. We have everything ready for the mapping there. And we are also working, we have already done this other tab. Let me show you. We have already mapped this other format here. So we are basically making progress in the mapping there.
Could you show the overall issue? So Sebastian, just to step back, just the main issue, which is over about the frictionless to other things mapping, not just to CCAN, like that.
Yes.
Can you just give an overview of that one? Yeah, no, this is the CCAN of frictionless. Where's the general frictionless mapping? That's in the forum. Did you get that issue? Just for a moment.
Yes,
I think
maybe
it would give people a little bit of context.
Where can I find this one? I'm not sure exactly.
I'll put the link. It didn't get added. It's okay. It's okay. Let me just do that in the forum. It's issue 53, I think.
Is this the one you're talking about?
Yes. So maybe I'll just see for myself for people. So one of the core things that's going on, right, is that people use frictionless. People have some other format. They have it in bioinformatics. They have it for project open data for like government data. There's CCAN. There's some other sys tool that you're using. Now there's kind of two kinds of formats you might map. What I'm going to call a profile or a schema. A profile is like a metadata format for a data set or a data file. It's things like name or title or the license. Then there's what I'd call schema, which is like a description of the fields in an actual data file, like the columns in a CSV. Now, Frictionless covers both those things. It covers the profiles, like describing a data set at the high level or a data file. And then there's describing the actual data, the columns in a data file, okay? I think it's great. And obviously what a lot of people like, the great thing is that Frictionless is a really, really simple. I don't think, Sebastian, we need to go into this far right now. I think we don't need to go into the schema, Jason, yet. I think it will distract people for a moment. Can we just go to the general page of the spec or something like that, or the actual issue? Thanks. So that's really great. Thank you. Basically, obviously, you know, whatever you're coming from, what the attraction of Frictionless is, it's simple, it's lightweight, at the same time, it's fairly comprehensive. It's been honed for a long time, and it's got a very good bunch of tooling around it. But you'll have, you know, you're working in some area, you know, you might have a particular format, and there are lots of them out there. There's a whole zoo of them, of, you know, different formats out there, some which I've also helped contribute to, as well as this one. Now, what we were doing in this issue is kind of like trying to start going systematically through and say, okay, let's map them. Let's inventory those other formats, and then let's start doing the mapping. What we did, and we were focused even initially that what Sebastian was showing was just on CCAN, which is very close because it's the original, you know, Frictionless is kind of similar to CCAN in many ways. So basically though, but I'm trying to say, you might have some other area. And I think one of the things we're doing, if you open the spreadsheet, if you just go to the spreadsheet next door, is just trying to have a systematic approach to this. Which is, if you go to the overview tab, you know, and so on, like, I think at some point this might mean to like move into JSON or something, but essentially this is just a list of the overviews, like of the formats. The first thing we're doing per format, I just want to explain it. If you go to a tab, let's say Frictionless, just go to the tab next door, is just listing all the attributes. And this is where Sebastian was just going to stuff. He was going to the JSON schema for the spec, and then we actually automatically extracted this. But what we're then doing while we're extracting into here is that we then have a list of all the attributes that Frictionless has. Now, these are, remember, the defined attributes. You can map anything to Frictionless. And one of the things I've been talking to Carlos, who's on this call, about is a systematic way for listing additional metadata fields, you know. And I don't want to reinvent the wheel there, right? You know, you've got schema.org and so on, but like, or Dublin core, but, you know, just having what would call, you know, namespaces almost, you know, like there might be people doing research on, I don't know, the polls, or they're doing research on bioinformatics. They have particular fields, right? And they want to kind of map those in, and they want to say how they're going to map it in. But right now we've got this list, and then what you can do is you go to the CCAN to Frictionless mapping. What we can do is, and I'm not saying the spreadsheet is the easiest way to do this, but you can kind of have a column of CCAN. So that on the left, you've got like, these are the fields in CCAN, like resource to ID. So on the resource object, there's an ID, and then you can see what it shows up in Frictionless. So in this case, there's no immediate Frictionless item. So we just copy it across, because Frictionless can have any attributes you want extra. And so we're starting to have like this systematic way of describing these mappings, and therefore documenting them, but also then writing code. So what we've done is, having done this, we've then written a bunch of Python code in this case, or you could write JavaScript code, or you could write Swift code. And we might even be able to make that kind of almost generic, but like allows you to do that kind of mapping, you know? And I don't know for people here, but you know, it's an issue we actually have at Dataopian right now, is like just from CCAN doing this conversion reliably back and forth. You know, it's something, and there's a library that's here now, actually part of the Frictionless suite, that just does that mapping, and which you can then extend. The idea is for the library to be very simple, but you know, you've got your project and you've got some specific metadata fields you want to process in a particular way, you can go do that. You know, you can build on it. But anyway, I'm just kind of illustrating, because I think this is an area that could be interesting to other people in their particular area. You might come along and say, well, I've got this particular format, and just documenting it like this, I think we'll probably get up on the website soon. You know, we'll use this spreadsheet to power something on the website, but it would just be a way of documenting, and also even documenting those formats. I mean, just to be honest with you, often some of the, I mean, it's like CCAN actually, you know, it's not like the some page just has all the metadata fields nicely listed. It's a little bit of work to do that. So I think there's kind of value added. Let's not go and do that, Sebastian, live. We don't need to go illustrate that. Thank you. I love, you're brilliant. That's just, you're so proactive. It's brilliant. Like, but just saying, so I think, for example, you know, we started doing Project Open Data, which in the Civic Tech space. So to kind of end up, I think this is one of the best place for contribution, because you could just spend 10 minutes, you know, you got 10 minutes sometime one evening you can go, and if that's the kind of thing you like doing in your spare 10 minutes, you could go and look up some format that's interesting to you and kind of start listing the fields, you know, and it's quite satisfying. The point about it's like editing Wikipedia. It's quite a satisfying little task because you can kind of, doesn't take long, you can get something done and you learn something along the route. And if it's a format that's relevant to your work, it's even better. So I'm just kind of mentioning that as a really great place to contribute if people want to contribute. Great. And Sebastian, oh, yeah, you can show, we've got the code running, you've got test passing that does this. Maybe it would show the repo. I think it's worth just showing the repo more than the running code, just so people, if they were interested.
I think I've got
this one. Yeah, it's just here. So here it is. It's called Frictionless CCAN Mapper. You know, we might have other ones at some point, Frictionless to Project Open Data Map or Frictionless to whatever, NetCDF. But if you scroll down, you can see the README, I think, of what it does and so on, you know, and it talks about the algorithm and so on. And the last point for the geeks out there is a lot of this stuff could be described in JSON schemas is probably better than a spreadsheet. So I'm trying to start thinking something which is a mapping from one JSON schema to another JSON schema and how we could automate that. That would be kind of fun. Anyway, great job. And just to acknowledge Sebastian, who's been doing a lot of the coding, a lot of the analysis. He is the person entering all that information in the spreadsheet. He has been writing the code here and doing an awesome job. So well done, Sebastian.
Thank you.
Great, thanks for that reinforcement, Sebastian. And now we're going to go over to community updates and announcements. Oleg, are you ready?
Yes, I'm here. I was wondering if maybe if anybody had a question for Sebastian before we jump in.
Yeah.
I have a question if nobody else does. Sebastian, I'm wondering how relevant is this for CCAN 3? Like, is any of what you're doing also benefiting that development?
I mean, Sebastian, I can answer that for you before because you don't know it's quite. Absolutely, Oleg. I mean, one thing of having this library right now, one of the reasons it's getting done it's getting done right now. I mean, it was already working, but improving it is because, yeah, it's getting used directly. I mean, if you're interested, that, you know, that's a different topic, but just for people on the call, we're building a next, you know, CCAN is awesome. CCAN is going to get even more awesome. There's kind of a major, you know, CCAN V2 is kind of, V3 vision is very exciting. It involves being basically heavily frictionless based, like really incorporating the frictionless patterns from ground zero, integration with Git and GitHub if you want out of the box. So you can kind of, one of the things I'm really, really excited about is what I call Git plus cloud equals love, i.e. you can use GitHub or Git or any GitLab, GitHub, whatever, for versioning, if you like, your code or your metadata or your workflows, but you can store the data into the cloud and kind of connect that together, and using the frictionless is central to that because you kind of, what you're storing as the metadata format is the frictionless data package structure. So there's a lot of exciting work, and that includes the connection, making that backwards compatible with CCAN, is what's partly using this library at the moment. You know, in V3, we might be kind of native to frictionless, but this library is crucial to that. So yeah, absolutely, Oleg. And yeah, absolutely. And feel free to ask people if you want to ask more questions about that, ask that on Discord or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. So Gift, how much time do we have? Like, is it a 5-minute update or more like 10 minutes? Or just wasn't completely clear for you.
Like, I think you can I think you can take your time, max 10 minutes.
Okay, 10-minute works.
Yeah.
We I posted a link to our to some slides we've prepared on the Google Doc, and actually I'd like to pass the ball to Turbine, who can just give you a quick run through.
Yeah, give me a second to find the link.
If you manage to share.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can share and you talk.
Yeah, maybe that's easier. Yeah.
Okay, give me a second. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right.
Perfect. Yeah, maybe you can do the quick intro and then I do the content.
Sure. So we told you we talked to you about smart use. Give you an update because we talked, we introduced smart use to the Frictionless data team about a year ago. It wasn't in a call like this. I think it was more on a one-to-one basis, but I know I've talked to a lot of you. Lily, Rufus, of course, knows about this for a long time. But we've been working on a series of projects that involve frictionless data, and we wanted to give you a quick update for them. The projects are called Smart Use, Gemeindescan, Streetwise, and all of them together we call Civet. So we have this kind of new name for our initiative, and it's all going to be much simpler now that we kind of have everything under one roof. Those are links. You can click on them and explore them. I apologize for the fact that most of our websites are German only. This reflects the fact that we're based in German-speaking Switzerland, and our projects have been focused not just on German-speaking Switzerland, but on the metropolitan area surrounding Zurich. So our project started as an initiative to actually just try to enable data sharing between the different communes, the municipalities of that 2 million population region. So Gemeindescan has been translated to French, and it's part of our mandate to spread these projects to the entire Switzerland, make them multilingual, and of course, we don't want to just embed frictionless data onto it. We're creating open source projects. All of these projects are open source that we're sharing with you, and our documentation is mostly in English. Our white paper is in English, and our goal is to make as much of this as accessible and relevant to you, reusable by the international community as time goes on. So Civet was founded by an urban design architect, Markus Schäfer, open data engineer, that's me, and we had a researcher in spatial transformation, that's Joris van Wetzmaal. He works at the ETH in Zurich, and yeah, we're a Civic Tech startup, and our goal is to use open data platforms and services to power urban design projects. What are urban design projects? Torben, you can explain to you much better than I. But I'm a tech geek. I come into this thinking smart cities maybe, but really it's all about urbanism. The idea that the population of urban areas can be much more involved, and they are much more involved in planning decisions. Things are a lot more real time. Things are accelerated when so much construction work, so much change, so much development is happening. And cities, to cope with this complexity, they rely on networks of planners, architects, and so on to facilitate that change. And a lot of that, the work that they're doing is not very open. I mean, it's just paper-based in the process of being digitized. There's this idea of digital twins, for example, that the city's buildings and streets and infrastructure is modeled using computer-assisted tools, right? So CAD and GIS come into the picture. But it's also just kind of getting the public involved, and by Civic Tech, that's kind of our mandate. Our mission is to help people to understand what's happening in their local neighborhood through open data, through transparency, and through the ability to be involved by contributing data as well.
Yeah, and I think what everyone has seen in the last 2 months or 3 months, that cities need a lot more resiliency than they currently have, I guess. So one tool that we're trying to develop on this is basically Gemeindescan, which stands for, or Gemeinde is the German word for municipality. So it's meant to be a tool for very small communities, not necessarily the big cities, but really the local area around Switzerland. And so as Oleg already said, it's an open source project that you can check out on Bitbucket in this case. The link is in the doc. And it's centered around this idea of having snapshots. And so this will be it's in the presentation somewhere, but basically our core idea why we want to use frictionless data here specifically is that a lot of planning topics, maybe you can jump ahead a bit into slide. You can come back to Streetwise afterwards, but yes, so this one to the data package part. Yes, so why we use this basically is that the planning world is much organized around documents right now, as Oleg already said, most specifically because you need to have these references of points in time. So you want to have something you can decide on, something you can vote on, something you can discuss on, basically. So anything that is relational and always dynamic is a bit tricky in the planning area, which is why in reality, it's basically PDFs. And those PDFs very often are not even vectorized, but are very often pixelated. So all the data in it is always kind of inaccessible. So the whole idea behind Gemeindescan is that you can have these snapshots, or what we call snapshots. Yeah, you might want to jump to Gemeindescan, the plat for the third tab. And to have a snapshot as a point in time and kind of as a freeze, basically, that you can look at. For instance, this is the kind of workplace and residential status of a Gemeinde outside of Zurich. So it's just a very small blob that you can represent on a map. So it doesn't need the tiling and so on, because it's a very small data set that you can represent, and together with other layers, you can make decisions on. And to do this, we actually extended the data package specification a bit with some meta fields for us. So we used the view part, for instance, to have some input on the map rendering part. And we embedded the GeoJSONs in the background that are styled actually by the Mapbox definition of styled GeoJSONs directly in one document. I mean, you could split that, but just for simplicity for our database, we package it all up as one data package. So one file can generate the whole map, basically. So it's it's self-descriptive, basically, which is very nice. And since these are very small, it doesn't really need all the more advanced things that maps sometimes do. And we think this helps us a lot in discussions and in publication and so on and so on. So if you go back to the presentation, one starting point, which is also data package, is all the municipalities, of course. So if you go to the first link, this is the first thing we published on DataHub, which is our version of the municipality list as JSON and CSV in this case, because we need some kind of basis to work from in the Gemeindescan to assign these snapshots to. So this is kind of our repository for these, let's say.
That's so useful. So cool, guys. This is awesome.
Yes, and it's directly loaded from DataHub. So you will see in the Bitbucket repository of Gemeindescan, there is a link in there that will pull it, like always the latest version, into Gemeindescan whenever you initiate it, basically. So that's kind of already in there, and we are working on ideas how to also push these snapshots to some data store, for instance, DataHub, and get it into Gemeindescan more automatically, because currently it's a very manual backend, so it's a Django backend where you just have to paste it in. But we are working on more advanced kind of import options. And on the backend, to generate these analysis, we do use data flows and Pandas and other tools to generate the analyses, to import things from partners like Swisscom. So we do have mobility data in there, which is not always public, but some of it hopefully very soon. But we work on different data sets, for instance, mobility, and those come in a variety of formats. So data flows help us a lot to kind of standardize those import processes and make that a lot more easy. And if you go back, Oleg, one slide, what would for us would be really cool, which I'm not so aware of, if you go back to the data flows one, we can think of a version of data flows that can be a lot more visual and less codey, basically, because we work with architects and urban planners, and they are not coders. I mean, I myself am an architect by training, but I also have knowledge in coding, but not as much as a lot of you guys. But it would be very helpful to have kind of these blocks, let's say, of data flows that you could connect together. And this is something like very kind of a dream of us, not so much a reality or an actual project at the moment. But this would be something we are trying to think about. I don't know, like, if you want to add to that.
All I can say is that we have there's an open source project I am working on for automation tasks, and yes, the dreaming is starting to take a little bit of form, yes. But that'll be a future meetup.
Could I really make a request though? Could you open an issue about that in the forum now? And because that's something like I'm doing a lot of work when I call a data factory system. I mean, the visual editor is another whole thing, but like I have a lot of thoughts about data flows and about this. They're public, maybe not in the right place at the moment, but they're on tech.datopian.com. But yeah, if Oleg, you could even just open issue today on the forum.
Sure.
Just, oh, there's this idea of what we'd like to do around data flows. It would become just a node for us discussing it. Would be great.
We'll do that. So we're just about up on time.
That's why.
I just wanted to mention we're on DataHub.
Yeah, and we will try to publish more. I mean, we are starting to use it for client projects very soon, but we will try to publish more things as they come along. I mean, the municipalities being the first example, basically.
And we don't really have time to go into this, but we just want to just say frictionless means a lot to us. It's enabling, it's decentralized, it's explainable, and it's open. And we're planning an event in Switzerland in the middle of November. There'll be a hackathon called Smart City Lab we're supporting, and we'll definitely be there and invite you as well to join if you're interested in this particular topic.
Yep.
Great. And one note to our self-gift, we should add is that we should provide a logo on the logos page which has white text so that people can get it in the presentation.
Yeah, we just love dark mode. That's the thing.
I love it, and we should do that.
Yeah, sure, I'll do it.
That's really great. Just okay, you know, while you're doing that, use questions or thoughts, any kind of feedback. Put your hand up if you want in the channel, or I mean, I just got to cook some questions. So I'd really be interested in the flows that you're building at the moment. You talked about using pandas. What's your kind of like, just if you walk me through, like, how does that start? So like, you've got some file you want to get from somewhere, and you like, what does it look like? The kind of like in detail, like on the core, like, can you think of an example recently of what libraries you used? Like, what does that actually look like? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very simple usually. So we have a Jupyter Hub instance that we use, where we can kind of do notebooks to explore data sets, and that's usually the first entry point. I mean, that's usually what we do in the beginning, that we just try to figure out, okay, how do we use this now, if possible. I mean, a lot of geo data is also in lots of other formats, so there it gets usually very tricky to work with more standard Python tools. But if it's something table-based and you can get there very quickly, then it's usually Pandas in the beginning to explore.
So just to check, so one is, why do you guys use? I think it's a good, but use Jupyter Hub versus coding yourself. Why? What's the? You just out of the box, you have like something set up. You can import library.
Yes, I mean, it's running, and we can scale it basically. So for all of us, so it's shared, and I think in the end we have so many different things we work with, so it's not very standardized. So we have, I mean, every municipality comes with different data sets basically, and different structures and different contexts and so on, that it's very fluid, let's say. So I would say it's mostly the flexibility for me, at least. Like, I don't know.
The flexibility, just to understand, you could be booting up, like you'd have some on your hard disk, you just open a Python file and start doing something, but you use Jupyter because you don't even have to set up your Python environment. Like what's the kind of,
Yes. Yeah. So it's probably the environment, because also in the end, it happens to be that we use all the systems basically. So Oleg is on Linux, I'm on Windows because of the office we're in, and then some team members are on Mac. So it's always like it's a very
got it. You don't have to set up environments or anything else. Okay, that's really interesting. Okay,
we are using Docker a lot as well, and we started using we were originally on GitLab, where we used GitLab's pipelines, and then we switched to Bitbucket, and now we're using Bitbucket pipelines. And now GitHub is got this amazing new actions framework, and so we're kind of tempted by that new shiny thing. But generally, the idea of automating things with data flows is also very good. Important.
No, but I'm asking why people use Jupyter. I'm asking because I'm always trying to understand where people like. So one great place for us to kind of get more market penetration to more adoption, I think, of this is people just starting out data wrangling. You know, I kind of want them just like they reach for pandas. Like it's like a comment. I was going to reach for pandas, or they reach for you, but like I want them just to reach for some set of frictionless tools. So just like out of the box. Oh yeah, I'll use that. And I'm trying to understand where people start. So if they start in Jupyter Hub, it's like okay, like it's just in like okay, what I don't use that. So I wonder what I don't use it very often. I generally boot up my Python environment and run something or whatever. But I think I'm hearing that quite a lot. And what I'm also fascinated by, I set a problem for people who apply for jobs at Dataopian. That's a data wrangling job. And I noticed that like 4 or 5 years ago, I'd ask people to basically scrape a CSV. People regularly show up now scraping a CSV using pandas, which for me is like using like a tank to, I don't know, to like instead of a motorbike or something, but it's fascinating. It's just out of the box. Pandas, like it's this huge Swiss Army knife that people are familiar with, and it's just available everywhere. And so I kind of rather than resist, I'm like, okay, people just use pandas as the default data wrangling tool. You know, it does a lot of data wrangling for you at the beginning. So I'm very interested by that. But anyway, thank you. And that's why I'm so interested is to understand what users would be doing, potential users would be doing. Great.
Can I just say one more
Sorry,
thing? Just a food for thought. Jupyter is to data science like Eclipse was to the Java world back in the day. It's just it's an ID, but it's also more than an ID. It's a community.
Yeah. It's a community. No, absolutely.
We are definitely prototyping data flows in Jupyter as well. I mean, it's kind of 50-50. So the notebooks are kind of.
They're separate. I'm interested where people start. So what I mean is I should make a really great tutorial for you're using Jupyter. Here's how you get going with Frictionless. Like that's what I'm more like saying. It's not that they're distinct things, apples and oranges. Great. Anyone else got any questions? I just want to, give people I'm so excited, but
Oleg, do you have a link for the event in November?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking for it.
No worries. I'm putting a bunch of links for upcoming things in the notes.
Yes. There you go.
Thank you.
It was very interesting. I have to say, is the event online or offline? In November, I mean.
Yes, they're aiming for physical, but it might happen online depending on.
We've gotten pretty good at online hackathons here in Switzerland the last months.
Okay.
That you could definitely. Okay, if you come, I'll make sure there's an online option.
Okay, thanks very much. Get in touch.
Great. Thank you, Oleg and Turbine. So moving on, the next thing would be general updates and questions. And I think Lily already added a couple of notes. So Lily, if you want to go through them.
Sure. Yeah. There is a new fund for virtual events that just opened today that I thought some people in the community might be interested in. And I put the link in the discussion questions or topics section. And it's from Code for Science. And it's funding for virtual events that are around open data science tools. I think it's pretty broad. So I thought people might be interested.
Could we put in, as a community, could we go in for that, Lily? Could we put in a proposal to do a virtual event?
I think so. I don't know that much about it, honestly. I know the people that run it though, so I could ask for more details. And let's see, there's the Creative Commons Global Summit has gone virtual, and that's open data, open licensing. I thought some people here might be interested in that as well. I think I will attend. Also, if people want to put together a frictionless data proposal, there are talks that are open. The proposals are open right now. So I'd be willing to help somebody put together a proposal if anybody's interested in that. And then I thought I'd give a really quick update on the reproducible research work that's happening right now. So both Carlos and Phil on the call have been doing some work related to that. Carlos is one of our new Tool Fund grantees, and we're starting work in the next few weeks. So this is all brand new, and we'll write some blog posts, hopefully in the next month or so, that everybody can look at and get more details about the tool fund. But those will be projects related to open science built using the frictionless data code. And then we also are currently selecting a new round of fellows. So those are early career researchers that are doing work about open science, and we'll be teaching them how to use frictionless data to make their research more reproducible. So that will happen starting in August. And again, we'll post some blog posts when that happens. So those are very quick updates from me.
Great, thanks, Lee. Also, there is a question here. It says, what's the best way to track upcoming changes to the specs? Rufus, do you want to take that?
Question was that, sorry?
Um,
I just missed the question. What's the best way to track upcoming changes to the specs? So the answer to that is there's a triage board. There will be a board soon on the specs repo that will have like proper like labels and stuff like that. There aren't a lot of changes planned at the moment in terms of actual changes to core specs. There might be some pattern changes. I would like to simplify a few things that I made a mistake in the core specs, or correct, like profile should be a URL on and things like that. But yeah, I mean that's where all those things will be, and they'll be clearly marked as breaking changes and there'll be a release for them. But the best way to track is to watch that repo, and in particular there'll be a board which will be there. Yeah, I hope that answers that one.
Okay. Just to reiterate, we usually have this Hangout every month. So for the next one, it will be happening on 23rd of July. The link to the form is on the document, so you could just register if you haven't. But if you've already done that, then no problem. We already have your details. We'll just send you the invite link when it's time for that event. And also, we're also on Twitter at Frictionless Data with 8 and A. And and also on Discord, I left the link to Discord on the docs as well. If anybody has any other thing to say or questions or any discussion, then you can, I think we still have time, so you can just do that. Otherwise, yeah.
A very quick thing, because we're 10 minutes late. I was 10 minutes late. Often in SPI, we say that we get data and we use frictionless to describe the data, and we pass to this entity, ebotnet. I don't know if Marco has said a few words, because Marco is on the other side. We are sending data and Marco is receiving data. Did you say anything, Marco, in the beginning?
No, I only make a quick presentation of me, but I haven't say anything at all. If you want, I can say that what we are doing with cars, sorry for spelling wrong your name, is getting the data from them and create the NetCDF file from the tabular data in order to have this data available in ImoNet physics, because we are using data server that need some more structured file type, and we normally using NetCDF. So we are working on this aspect, on creating NetCDF from the Swiss Polar Institute data.
Great. So the NetCDF mapping would be very interesting to you.
Yeah, yes, is not. There is some tricky point because there is some aspect to be taken account, because in NetCDF you have to describe variable with some attribute to be able to understand the variable in the software they are managing NetCDF. You need to define dimension, because since NetCDF are multidimensional data, you have to take in account this aspect. For tabular data is easy because you can consider the raw number as a dimension, so you can go straight with this approach. And this is the approach we are taking for our work. We are now using the raw number as a dimension. So
Sebastian, could you find the link for the NetCDF to frictionless mapping and just put it so, Marco, this kind of like what your learnings or your questions, if you could just put a comment in that issue, I'll put the issue to the forum. It's incredibly useful just to hear, even not that you have to do the mapping for us, but anything you're learning from your experience or any notes you have would be incredible. Yeah?
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to contribute.
So Sebastian, I think there is a NetCDF frictionless issue, and you could put it the link to the issue.
Yeah, last day, Jen and I started the spreadsheet for the NetCDF, frictionless NetCDF. So I was thinking of Marco, basically. And I might have some follow-up questions for Marco at some point, because we are not familiar on this site on the NetCDF format. We know, but not as well as Marco. So, but now Marco has some context.
Yeah,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I want to say one more thing, if I can. There is something that I was thinking about, the frictionless to NetCDF and vice versa. I don't know if NetCDF to frictionless data is something that is easy and possible because there is the multidimensional approach and doesn't make easy to have a tabular format in this for this type of data. But
just to say, Marco, we're at time. The way I would be going is that, depending on how you want to do it, is so I've done a lot of multidimensional. If I think what you mean by multidimensional is like a star schema, or what do you mean by multidimensional? You mean you've got
that the variable are depending on time, depth.
You've got like a fact table. It's like OLAP. You've got some central table and then multiple dimensions pointing on. That's a common model. And I've done a lot of work on that in a fiscal data package, where you have a similar thing. You have spending by government, and you have dimensions like time, and so on. Now, the way I'd be going is I'd be mapping to multiple tables. I would be mapping to multiple tables in frictionless, and I'd be using dimensional modeling. You know, like we did a bunch of work on an OLAP model for frictionless, like that would allow you to do modeling like that. So if you could say a bit more, I don't know the NetCDF format very well, not maybe now, but in the issue, because I've done that a lot. And the way I'd often be going in frictionless is that I would, rather than trying to flatten into one table, I would be like having multiple tables with foreign keys. Frictionless supports that, right? It has multiple tables with foreign keys, which is the way I would do the normalization.
It's quite, it's so something this is something that I don't know, and then nice to.
It'd be great to talk about it. So please, there's a link in the issue now in the chat. Please put your comments and what you're doing, and I'd love to talk about it or on the Discord chat or on anything. Anyway, it's time for today. I notice I want to be integrous, so people get to end on time, and so I just want to say I have so much fun building these systems, playing around with data. I don't know, maybe, sometimes, and to doing with others. I mean, building stuff is more like, it's like building. I always think of those, I don't know if people seen the film Witness about the sheep, they do this barn raising in the movie, and there's 40 people, they come together and they build this barn. It's an Amish barn. It's just so much. I just love building things with other people. It's like, it's even more fun than building on your own. And I think this project's super exciting. I can really feel the traction happening generally. So, you know, I think that we're really at this project it's really valuable to people, but I think it's so I'm really excited at that moment as well. And there's lots to be doing, like Oleg coming along and, you know, about the data flow. I mean, I'm just, wow. Yeah. So please, thank you all for your time and attention and energy and your interest and for your contributions that you're making. And yeah, I just can't, please come and hang out on the channel and share your great ideas. And we'll see you next month, if not before.
Thanks,
Ciao,
everybody.
ciao.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye all.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao.
Nice evening.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.